Welcome to the Courage Over Cowardice podcast, where I cover topics and issues that will help you take a stand for Christ in culture. More than ever, followers of Jesus need courage to stand up, speak up, and to live out their faith, because people need to know that there's a God in heaven that loves them, and it is His truth that sets people free. Thanks for listening today, and I hope that you enjoyed the episode. Hey, we want to welcome you to the Courage Over Cowardice podcast. Today we're addressing a term that gets thrown around like a political grenade, and that is Christian nationalism. It's become a catch-all accusation for anyone who believes in God and also happens to love their country. If you speak up about biblical values, if you vote your conscience, if you say faith should influence culture, you're labeled as dangerous, a Christian nationalist. But here's the reality. There's a difference between loving your nation and worshiping it, between applying your faith to public life and enforcing a theocracy. Today we're going to separate myth from mission. We'll define what this term is and what it isn't, and why it's being used to silence you and why you must not stay silent. So what is Christian nationalism supposed to mean? Let's begin with the definition. Because clarity is charity, it brings power. When critics say Christian nationalism, they usually mean the belief that America should become a theocracy, that pastors should run Congress, that the Bible should replace the Constitution, and that anyone who doesn't conform should be silenced or punished. Now, that's not mainstream Christianity. There's a few kooky people that may believe that, but that's not the overwhelming majority of Bible-believing Christians and what we want. And frankly, it's a straw man that they're kind of building up just to erase the argument, if you would. Here's what Christians who care about their nation actually believe. They believe that biblical principles like justice, truth, and freedom, and the dignity of life should shape our laws. Our faith doesn't stop at the church doors. Public policy is a reflection of moral decisions, and morality, well, it is shaped by worldview. It's not about nationalism, it's about discipleship. It's about living out the gospel in every sphere of life, including culture, education, business, and yes, government. Here's the deal. Every law that we have, it reflects someone's morality. Let's talk about it. It's a truth that no one wants to admit. Every law, every single one, every law is moral. Every law declares what is right or wrong. When the law says you can't steal, it's declaring theft is morally wrong. When it defines marriage, protects life, or sets boundaries around children's education, it's taking a moral stance. So the real issue is not whether morality belongs in politics, it's whose morality will dominate. Will it be a biblical worldview that values life, family, and freedom? Or will it be a secular worldview that believes truth is fluid, family is optional, and freedom is whatever you feel in the moment? It's not Christian nationalism to want righteous laws. It's just what happens when Christians live out their calling in a democratic republic. Now let's talk a little bit about history. There's a myth floating around that America was built on secular ideals, that the founders were deists who wanted to keep religion locked in a private box, but the historical record tells a very different story. Early colonial governments, they required biblical literacy. Public schools used Scripture as their primary textbook. The Declaration of Independence says our rights come from our Creator. Many early laws on marriage, family, oaths, and morality, well, they quoted directly from the Bible. In fact, the founders believed in religious freedom, not freedom from religion. They didn't want a national church like England, but they absolutely believed that religion, particularly Christianity, was essential to liberty. One founder said, "Our Constitution was made only for a moral and a religious people. It's wholly inadequate to the government of any other." See, the idea that Christianity must be scrubbed from public life in order to preserve democracy is not American. It's revisionist history, and it's nonsense. But let's clear up another lie while we're at it, that loving your country is somehow idolatrous. It's like saying loving your family is idolatry or honoring your parents is idolatry. No, it's actually gratitude. Gratitude and honor are biblical. Patriotism is not worship. It's gratitude for the sacrifices of those who came before. It's stewardship of freedom. It's loving your neighbor. And you do so by protecting the laws and liberties that will bless them. Idolatry is when we put anything above God. Patriotism is when we thank God for where He's placed us and we do our best to make it better. See, God told His people in exile, seek the welfare of the city, for in its welfare you will find your welfare. That's Jeremiah 29:7. See, engaging culture is not idolatry. It's obedience. So why all the noise about Christian nationalism? Well, because it works. It's a tool designed to shame and silence believers. If you say life begins in conception, you're a Christian nationalist. If you oppose drag queen story hours, which you should because it's sick, you're a Christian nationalist. If you believe children shouldn't be taught gender confusion, you guessed it, you're a Christian nationalist. It's meant to marginalize, not to define. It's not about theology. It's about power. If people of faith are silent, others get to shape the future. The goal is to create a new rule. You can have your faith as long as you keep it private. But just let me remind you that Jesus wasn't crucified for private faith. He was crucified because His kingdom clashed with the kingdoms of this world, because He declared truth in the face of corruption. The gospel isn't meant to be whispered in corners. It's meant to be proclaimed in the streets. So the church, we can't retreat. We need to wake up to the real battle. It's not against a political party necessarily. It's against principalities and powers of this world. Culture is being shaped every day by media, education, entertainment, policy. And if the church retreats, those areas, they don't become neutral. They become occupied. When believers step out of government, secularism steps in. When we abandon schools, confusion floods in. When we stop speaking truth in love, lies grow bold. It's not enough to just preach the gospel if we refuse to apply it to the culture that we live. Preaching must turn into discipling. Discipling must influence every sphere of life. That's not Christian nationalism. That's called the Great Commission. So what should we do? Here's a short list as a Christian. We need to, as 1 Timothy 2:1-2 says, we need to pray for our leaders. You need to vote biblical values and biblical convictions, not emotional reactions or the propaganda of the day. Run for office. Support those who will defend justice. Run for school board. Be engaged locally, especially. Disciple your children in truth before the world does, because they will. And speak up when culture pushes lies, because silence is not an option. Love your neighbor, but never compromise the truth to be liked. See, Jesus said, you're the salt of the earth, the light of the world. Salt preserves and light exposes, but neither can do their job if they're silent. So let me leave you with this. You're not a Christian nationalist for caring about your nation. You're not dangerous for voting for your faith, and you're not extreme for wanting your children to grow up in a world where truth still matters and are not sexualized from the womb. You're a citizen of heaven. You're called to make a difference on earth. You're a disciple of Jesus, called to influence every sphere of life. You're a voice of truth in a world drowning in confusion. So don't back down and don't apologize for being engaged. Don't let slander silence your mission. The real threat isn't Christians influencing government. It's government trying to silence Christians. This isn't about nationalism. It's about faithfulness. And I want to encourage you to stand up, to speak up, and to live out your faith. Thanks for listening. If it helped you, share it. Make a decision that you're going to love your nation as a Christian, because that's what we need more of.
Hey, thanks so much for listening. I hope this message has inspired you to courageously stand up, speak up, and to live out your faith. If you like what you heard today, give me a 5-star review, follow the Courage Over Cowardice podcast, and share it with others to learn how to stand for truth in the midst of culture.